Welcome back to See the Stories. We're still talking about ADHD, how parents can actually treat children with ADHD. So Dr. Denta already mentioned that this is a lifelong sort of disorder, but it can be treated. So what are the best treatment? Because we've seen very successful people with ADHD, and it seems like you're kind of breaking the mythology, saying that you cannot be a successful person, you cannot focus in one thing, then you cannot, excel in many things. But it's not true.
Yeah.
So what are the treatments?
So the goals of treatment is to improve the quality of life, of course, and then to improve the symptoms, to control the symptoms. So the ADHD condition is still there, the brain is still there, the error is still there, but of course we have a capability to control them. With how, of course, one is the behavioral therapy or like cognitive therapy with the psychologist, and then with the pediatric also. And then the second one, if needed, we can give them medication, like a stimulant medication. But like American Academy of Pediatrics, they divide it in before 6 years and then after 6 years. So usually the before 6 year kids, the therapy is more to the parents, to the environment, and then to the kids. And then, but if it's just diagnosed after 6 years, they're most likely to have also the medication, like the stimulant medication.
Yeah, in some people, some of the symptoms are like, when they say it's very hard to focus, when you focus on one thing, you sort of like forget like other things. You cannot even realize that you're hungry or maybe you're tired, so they cannot really go to bed at night. So are these categorized as bad? Like, I mean, having very sort of like heavy ADHD?
So bad or not it's depending on their quality of life. As long as they can still manage their daily activity, or as long as they can still manage their communication with the environment, with the society, with the parents, with the family, then it's okay. But one thing that maybe we can say that when it's bad is that like you withdraw with the society, you withdraw from your family, or like kids with ADHD have a higher risk of getting injury because of their symptoms. Of course, that can be said as a worse condition, of course, in the worst side of the spectrum.
When a child transitions to become an adult, does this ADHD symptoms become more severe?
Or even less?
Or less, or it's becoming less because they take care of themselves, like having medication and therapy?
They know how to treat themselves.
Yeah, so there's three outcomes when the kids with ADHD grow older. One is, of course, the symptoms resolve and control very well. And then the second one is only partial.
Okay.
Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's control. It's good, very good without any medication or treatment. But there's also some kids, when they go older, it's getting worse. So it's really depend on the spectrum.
Do you give medications to children as well? I mean, what's the percentage? How many percent of the children with ADHD that you are treating, you have to give medication to them? How many percent?
Like I said, for the older the kids, the higher the percentage of giving the medication.
What's the youngest age?
Yeah, around maybe school age usually. Because,
7.
Yeah, around 7, 8. Because during the school, it's worse.
It's exposed with a lot of things that need to focus.
They're exposed with school, and then it's gonna be difficult also for their school friends, and some or most will get bullied also at school. So it's quite difficult.
Exactly. Back to my previous question, when the society is not really accepting them having ADHD, so they think that you're just so annoying, we need to bully you because you don't belong to the society. So how can we know about these types of kids? Because sometimes they don't tell us, oh, I have ADHD, so you have to treat me differently,
Yeah, actually when you see ones, you'll never forget it. Like the kids with ADHD, they don't have a good normal contact with us. They will
So similar like autism, like
it's so more or less similar with autism.
and
because
on that part.
On that part, so it's because it's very difficult for them to focus, and then they go jump around, and then they don't behave or react as kids without ADHD. So So that's the part that people should aware of with the kids.
And that's why therapy is really important.
It
Therapy
is.
is really important.
You already take the medication, but you cannot control the society, right?
Exactly.
So you have to go to therapy.
Wow. Okay. And the long-term consequences, doctor. What are the long-term consequences of undiagnosed ADHD patient?
The long-term consequences, of course, it will affect the quality of life. Most of the undiagnosed and untreated ADHD during their adult life will have a mental health problem like depression, like anxiety, which make their life more difficult than before.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, their life expectancy also lower because they're prone to accident and injury, and then their communication and then the interaction with the people, the society also worse.
Last question, please. This topic is so interesting. Now, I would like to ask you about the long-term consequences for children with ADHD who are treated, because they have to take, some of them have to take medications, right?
What are the the effect to that?
Yeah.
Having
They can live normally, and people will not notice if they have ADHD or not.
Is the medication heavy? Like, is
it going to affect the kidney?
Yeah. Of course, they have a systemic effect or risk, but that's why when we treat it with medication, we will control the doses, the usage, and of course, and even the side effect of the kids. But most of them, if they get the medication, they comply with the treatment, they can just react like other kids without ADHD.
As long as you are under the supervision of a pediatrician.
Yeah.
Do not self-diagnose or self-medicate.
Yeah, agree. All right, so let's have some fun now.
Yes, because it is our tradition, Doc, here in the show to wrap up the interview session with games. And now our fellow host, Satria Pramesi, will lead the game. Come on out,
Messi.
Hello. Good evening. I have to say, this is quite this is a topic that is very close to my heart, I have to say. I don't want to go too deep into it, but yes, we're going to play some not video games, sorry. This is a game on the plasma. Today I'll lead the game. I'll show you some statements about ADHD on the big screen. Alia and Kursia will have to guess which ones are myth or fact, and then Dr. Denta will give the right answers and also provide some explanations. So, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Doctor, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, let's begin straight away.
Let's.
Myth or fact? ADHD is caused by consuming too much sugar.
Myth.
What say you, doctor?
Yes, it's a myth. Of course, there is no enough evidence to say there is a relation between, or a cause-effect relation between too much sugar and ADHD. But of course, too much sugar is not advisable. You still have to control the sugar consumption of your kids, although it's not gonna cause the ADHD for the kids.
Yeah, maybe diabetic.
Diabetic, yes, but no ADHD.
Alrighty, we have our answers. It's definitely a myth then, yeah?
Yes.
All right, okay, let's move on to the next one. Myth or fact number 2. Children with ADHD can't focus on anything in a long time. Guys.
Yes, fact.
Yes, it's a fact. Like I said, children with ADHD found it's very difficult to focus because of the inattentiveness, and then sometimes because of the hyperactivity also, and then they cannot finish the tasks or even the games that they have started.
Doctor, what about, for example, I've heard people say they have had, hyper focus when they've had ADHD as well. Is that a part of that, or is that completely different to what that was?
Maybe it seems from the outsider, the kids is hyper focusing, but actually what happened inside, maybe sometimes the kids is withdrawn themselves with the surroundings, so we cannot really understand what's happening inside the kids. So it's not really hyper focusing because, like you said, it's attention deficit, right? So it's they cannot focus too much.
Wow.
With some
interesting. Right, so fact indeed. Let's move on to the next one.
Let's.
Children with ADHD are always hyperactive and impulsive.
Fact.
Fact, but not always, right? I don't know.
Fact,
I think always is the key. Yeah.
I think that's the key message from
Oh,
Dr.
okay.
Denta earlier.
Let's.
Yeah,
I heard
so-
the hyperactive.
Yeah, so actually it's a slash. can you answer with
always
slash?
hyperactivity.
So it's not
slash-
always hyperactive and impulsive.
Right, okay.
So because I said like there's a hyperactive
Yeah.
and then there is a spectrum of inattentiveness.
and attentiveness.
So it's when they hard to focus, it doesn't mean they will hyperactive.
Yeah.
So but
Just
there
one of
is-
the symptoms.
Yeah, one of the symptoms. But there is also of course the spectrum when they mix. So they cannot focus and then they're hyperactive.
Yeah.
So sort of fact.
So sort of fact
Yes.
and sort of myth. Like so this is
Okay.
slash.
Yeah, should
Half
be
and half,
slash.
isn't it? Yeah,
Half
a
and
little bit of half and half.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the last one, if I'm not mistaken. ADHD
Is the result of bad parenting.
Myth, duh.
Myth.
What say you,
It's
doctor?
a very difficult. It's a very difficult statement.
Okay.
But there is some references that connect the bad parenting with kids with ADHD because it kind of like a trigger for the symptoms to happen.
And genetically inherited in the blood. That's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so some references already stated that the bad parenting can become one of the trigger factor.
So it's
of
fact?
ADHD. Yeah, so it's
It's a fact.
It's okay.
Fact.
It's okay. We made a mistake. We didn't get this one
Yeah.
covered earlier in the
Yeah, we
discussion,
didn't get
right?
can be. So ADHD can be a result of bad parenting.
Ah.
So
But it can
not
also
nec-
result from like genetics, for
yeah, it's not necessarily, but one can be one of the factor.
We
Wow.
learned a lot today.
We really did. We really did. Yes, doctor, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Anytime,
We
thank
certainly
you.
learned a lot, as I mentioned earlier, and hopefully you can come back so we can learn more about their condition.
Oh yeah, this is his second
Yeah.
home, so he's gonna come back again.
All righty, everybody. See the stories will continue after the break, so stay with us on a 3-hour news show only on See Today.